She's Mrs. Sunshine.
Okay, so I don't want to keep, we're going to get started opening up our executive committee meeting. It is 7:05 on Monday, November 21st. Thank you all for being here. I know we are missing some folks. But basically today what I wanted to discuss was combining our committee meetings. And so kind of like just getting your ideas and how we can best and effectively condense our committee meetings. We've been meeting virtually, which has been super helpful. Eventually, we do need to go back to in person. So I just wanted to pull up also our calendar of, give me one second.
Wait, can I ask you a quick question? You said
Yes.
eventually we need to go back in person,
Yes.
not hybrid. That's going to be all canceled out.
Well, no, the hybrid is definitely still what we are working on, but either way, hybrid doesn't mean we can all be
Gotcha.
virtually. The
Okay.
majority, like you'd be excused, but for many of us, we will have to be in person. And so when we're thinking of committee meetings, as it is right now, we do have members that are not actively participating in our general board meeting, let alone our committee meetings. So thinking that if we condense them, we may have higher participation and get more things done. So I just wanted to hear your ideas. Let me share the screen of how many of the committee meetings that we currently have. So any ideas?
Definitely public safety and transportation should be merged together.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think um, the health and probably environmental,
Okay.
you know,
Housing,
housing,
housing and land use,
housing and land use.
education and youth services can, I think, easily fit with health and human services.
Also, education could also be with the library and cultural affairs. Could
Right,
also, so
right.
those three could get put into one.
Mm-hmm. So libraries, education, and health. What do you all think about that?
Come on, Alfredo.
Sounds like a plan. We've been doing this for a while. It sounds like a plan. I guess the only one that we didn't speak about was economic development. I don't know, maybe that one will stay on its own.
Ms. Benitez, what do you think about that?
Which one? The last one you said education?
But yours,
The economic development, where do you see that fitting in? If we condense,
I really don't see it.
so that one as a standalone?
Yeah.
Okay, that works.
Okay, so this is Carla. I have a question.
Yes.
Are we talking about actually completely combining these committees or having joint meetings? Right, because if they're joint meetings, that means that the joint chairpersons have a responsibility to understand the denominator in terms of who's voting, right? So let's say environmental concerns and parks wanted to vote together. It means we have to have a quorum of all of our committee members and all of Parks committee members. Can we just clarify that point, please?
So these are all questions that I don't have the answer to, that I will have to get more guidance on from the borough president's office. So right now, what I did want to propose is combining, right, what ideas are and how we want to combine them, putting all these questions together, bringing it to Tom Lucania, and then coming back to you all with the answers. Because I think we even spoke about how the chairs of each respective committee would fit in if we did, have these joint meetings. And so that's one of the questions I have too. I think that we should have our continuous chairs of each, but just figuring out how we would structure that. But the voting aspect is a good question that I will ask, what the quorum will be. Yes, Talene?
Okay, I'm trying to get this. So this is something that the VP's office is asking us to do?
This is something that we've been talking about doing for a while. So the BP
This is
hasn't
what
asked
George
us
has
to
been
do this.
talking about.
Who?
This is what George has been talking about.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was trying to understand. At first, the way you were saying you had to check back with Tom Lucania and them, I was trying to understand, is this something that they're saying that we have to do?
No, this is something that George has been discussing in the past. This is something that I think we should have a discussion about how to better effectively either combine our meetings, because from what I am seeing, and you've all been seeing that, we're having a hard time meeting a quorum in our general board meetings, let alone for committee meetings. And so just trying to figure out what the best strategy is. So I do want everybody's input as to how we can make it more effective, our committee meetings and our board meetings.
Okay, I appreciate that explanation. And you're saying the education committee and what were the other two committees?
So education committee, health and human services,
So education and youth.
right?
Right.
Education and youth is one, that's one committee.
All right,
And then combining it maybe with libraries and cultural affairs, health and human services. And I'm
No,
not
that's
saying
too many. That's too many.
that's too
yes,
many.
yeah, for
It's
me
too diverse
personally,
in commerce.
that's, for me personally,
Right.
okay, I'm speaking of education and youth services. I'm trying to understand having a meeting
Mm-hmm.
and listening to what's going on with, well, health and human services, okay. And then library, cultural, I mean, to me, that's like,
That's too many.
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
No, it
I'm
could
trying
be.
to see how long the meeting, trying to see how long the meeting would be.
Right.
If let's say I had maybe 3 or 4 people presenting, and then library committee had however many presentations, health and human services had however many presentations. Now we're back to full board, 3 hours,
Mm-hmm.
2 hours. I'm just trying to, I'm
Yeah.
just devil's advocate.
No. And I do appreciate that. And again, for example, for your meetings, Talene, are you having good attendance? Are you meeting your quorum?
Okay, first of all, let me say this. Dina Robbins is going for my committee. Hannah is going for my committee. I have not seen, or I don't want to say seen or heard, but I have not spoken with Dr. Goff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even, I think in a year, maybe once or twice. Anthony's there. Anthony's my vice chair. Who else is left? The gentleman, who's on here? Miss Benitez. Is it the gentleman? There's a gentleman he's not a member, but he's a member of the community. I don't have his name right here in front of me.
But he's not a member of the board, though.
No, he's a member of the community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I wish Ursula was on here. She could tell me his name. I can't remember it right now. Completely out of my head. So, I mean, my committee, I need members
Right.
that I've been asking for, and I keep getting different explanations. Like I've been told that if a person is an educator, that they cannot be on the Education and Youth Services Committee, which I don't understand that. I've never heard that in my life.
Who said
I
that?
thought it was the opposite of what you're saying.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I understood that a person who is currently working for the DOE or working for the city cannot be a officer and cannot vote on anything that is relating to anything with the DOE or, anything like that. That's my understanding because I was with the DOE before I retired and also on the Education Committee. I was not the chair then.
That's,
Because,
Tom, but I think I have heard the voting part may be a conflict.
right,
you have to recuse yourself when you vote, but you
Yeah.
can still be part of the committee. There's nothing
Right.
saying that you cannot.
well, last year I asked for a couple of people, and I'm not gonna go all the way back with that one, but I asked for a couple of people to be on my committee, and I was told they currently work for the DOE and they could not be on my committee.
That's not true.
No,
I-
they could. They just can't vote.
Right. They
Right.
could be, they just can't vote. I've heard the voting part.
They can't vote for certain things,
Right, but they can still be part of your committee.
Right.
correct?
When it's something that's pertaining to Department of Education, there's a conflict of
Right.
interest.
Of course it is, yes.
I remember last month DEP presented and I recused myself. I think you were there, Alfredo. I actually didn't vote it. So,
Right. No, that's reasonable.
but if we combine the committees, right? Say for instance, transportation and public safety become one. Okay. 1 month I might not have a transportation issue, but I might have a public safety issue. If there is a special case that comes up, then we could actually ask for an alternate meeting, or we
During the
could,
month.
if it's too long, we could break. So there are ways we could work around this. We're all grown. We could say, listen, we gotta do things differently. The economic development is different because
Right.
of the nature of what it is. So that should stay by itself.
Right.
But transportation, public safety is just one.
Okay. Does everybody agree with that?
Transportation and public safety?
Yes.
I don't see a problem with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Caller, you'll say something? I saw your hand up or something.
Caller.
Carla, we can't hear you.
She's gonna get on the phone.
Oh, okay. So, again, I just have to ask the question, if we combine committees, what constitutes a quorum? Right? So if you need X number of people for each committee to vote on whatever is proposed, if we combine committees, is it one committee or is it two committees meeting together? I just think that's an important distinction we need to make.
I think it's one committee and we could do half of the committee plus one, 50% plus one.
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, so
um,
I agree with that. If the committees are truly combined, then yes, it's 51% of the members who need to vote. Okay, good. Thank
So,
you.
wait,
I have one other thing to ask in reference to this. Does this mean that we have to change our bylaws?
yeah,
Yeah. So first what we're doing now, we're discussing, we
Okay.
agree upon what we want to do, and then it does have to go into bylaws and we would vote on it. So it is a
So
process.
I wanted
is-
to ask,
Yes, Ted.
if, obviously this would cut down on the number of meetings that we have. But
Yes.
also, I was gonna ask a question, but Carla is the same thing she asked about the committee. Because I would think even if we were meeting if two committees were combined, each committee still have to have their quota. But according to what you guys have just said, the quota would be based upon the total number for both committees. So
Plus-
effectively, we're creating one committee,
yeah.
but I guess they're keeping two names or keep the members separate on each committee. How does that work?
I don't mind sharing the chairpersonship or whatever, but like I said, it just have to be done. I mean, I work like, say for instance, Alfredo and myself, we work really great together because, I mean, if you have an issue, sometimes we speak before the meeting, sometimes we speak after the meeting.
Right.
That's what has to happen.
And it could be, yeah, go ahead.
Thing, I raise my hand. Hi, it's
Hi,
Michelle.
Michelle.
How are you? So I think that the premise of joint committees, one committee, is not separate. It would never be separate. When you write your bylaws, you would put the bylaws together to form one. So the two chair, that would the issue would be like the person who is a chair of a committee now. Then when you write the bylaws, you either decide is either that somebody will either be vice or one, or they'll both, however you figure it out. But the committee becomes one. It's not separate. So
No, it's
they
not
would work
separate.
on the same issues. It wouldn't be parks in the meeting, but parks only decide parks. The other committee only decide that. The whole quorum is the whole group of persons that's there, because the committee becomes one under two names. That's what that would mean.
You're cutting up a little bit, Michelle.
So
Joint committee. Yeah, so if you're joint, I think the premise of something joint means it becomes one. You won't sit in there and only wait for a parks issue to vote on a parks issue. You would also be voting on the other issue too, because it's one committee, right?
Correct.
Is
They're
that
going to become joint
isn't that
committees.
it? I think right. So it's the committee won't be separate. So I guess when the bylaws are written, they'll be written to make it one. So they're considering, everybody on the committee would be considering all the issues that falls under parks and whatever, say parks and whatever it is that you combine. I'm only speaking of parks because that's the committee I came
So
from.
parks and environmental could be one.
Parks and environmental.
Right. So it would be the same. Right. It would be the same consensus for every person. You wouldn't be in a joint committee, but you're still focused on what was the focus of the committee that you're coming from.
Correct.
The members are all the same.
But I take the names is gonna have to change though to reflect the, like it's gonna be like a joint name.
yeah,
I think we would do a joint, right? Like land use and housing,
Yeah.
economic development standalone, but public safety and transportation, parks and environmental.
I mean, land
I
use,
mean, I could definitely see this working, except that I was under the impression that it was just something temporary, but it looks as if we actually talking about
just to cut down and be more
something
efficient.
permanent. So if
I
it's
mean, I think
permanent,
it's
fine. We just have to change the name of the committees,
All right.
change the bylaws, and we have basically bigger committees and we have fewer meetings.
Yeah, yes.
and
So
hopefully
this
more
is
effective.
Carla.
Yes.
After Thanksgiving,
Sorry. I just want to say something. In the January meeting, then, we need to make a motion to combine these committees and have bylaws, rename them, because the standing committees are named in the bylaws. So we have to address just that administrative task.
So Carla, is this a meeting? Because I know we're not doing our general board meeting in December. I know there's holiday season coming up, but is this something, if we wanted to speed it up, could we do this at the bylaws committee meeting in December?
No, I don't. This is big. I think you gotta go through the process.
Okay.
You can't go through what corners.
Okay.
No, and I have to check the minutes or the videos, because bylaws is not a standing committee. It's a committee that only exists when it's an ad hoc committee that only exists when a member of the board requests a change. So I'm just going to have to do a little research. Sorry, I don't know this off the top of my head. The ad hoc committees dissolve every year unless they're reappointed. Yeah. So I'll check that before the next meeting. We may have to make a motion to reinstate the bylaws committee. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. But yes, if we're going to change the number and names of the standing committees, I'm sure that has to be a bylaws committee motion.
Can we do that now? Like the motion for us to,
No, it has to be full board.
the board meeting to do that? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah, I agree with whoever said that. Yes, it has to be at a full board meeting.
I mean,
Okay.
But
well, I said we gotta follow all the protocols so that
Yeah.
there's no legal ramifications coming back to us from, so we gotta move along slowly with this.
okay,
Just something we could rush.
no, exactly, John. Thank you. Yeah, I agree entirely.
okay. Talia,
Um,
you had your hands up?
Yes, but Ted had his hand up before I did.
Oh, sorry, I spoke already. I need to take
Oh,
my.
okay.
Lower
Okay,
your hand.
so help me out here now, y'all. John,
Yes, ma'am.
Beatrice. Okay, so if three committees get together and one of the committee needs a vote, let's say three
No longer
committees.
one committee.
Yeah.
Wait, I lost you. Who's talking? Michelle?
Well, it's
You're
no longer
talking.
3 committees. It would be 1 committee.
It won't be 3 committee. It'll be 1 committee.
We're
Okay,
joining
okay.
them.
So then that's total. So then, okay, I'm not getting
In
it.
other words, whomever is the chair and co-chair make up an agenda depending on what issues are presented to the committee. And that'll be your agenda for that particular committee, even though it may be three old committees into one. So it's not really separate like you're thinking. You have to sort of like eliminate the separateness and think of it as a whole. So
Be that right, that one committee addressing all of these different.
all the issues,
Right.
So
Okay,
it doesn't matter what your specialty is or, whatever, you're thinking as one.
Yeah. And I mean, there might be times where one committee might have to have 2 separate meetings during a month. It depends on what it is. And we could announce it as a special, like a special meeting,
Right.
something like that. But I think it will be more efficient.
It's worth a try.
Yeah.
Okay, but can I finish what I was going to say?
Yeah.
Okay. So if the library committee had an issue that they were bringing up that they needed for it to be voted on, nobody from the library, quote unquote committee is there. There's only people from what's the other? Cultural and education. So we would vote on their issue.
No.
Don't separate it.
So
Don't
don't separate it. It's all one. So the people
Okay.
that's in the education and the people that's in the library and cultural affair will be all in one committee.
Right. So they're voting on the issues that are coming up under that one committee.
Yeah.
So then why are there 3 agendas?
No.
It shouldn't be 3 agendas. One agenda addressing all the issues that would fall under that committee.
Yes.
So if we're doing education and youth and cultural affairs, it would be one agenda, one committee. All the members are there for all the different issues that we're bringing up and voting collectively.
And I mean, depending, you might have like 1 or 2 issues that are going to be like long and extraneous. So then you would have just a special meeting just for that. But we will know ahead of time, though. The chairperson would announce, say, for instance, we have a major land use, like the piece of land across from Home Depot or something that we need to do like a major, have a major community meeting about. Then we'll actually announce that. And then we'll, say that we're having we're calling a special meeting to address that issue. And then that's it.
The only question I have is, once you combine the meetings, individuals will no longer be members of their previous committee. They will have to, their membership will be expanded to the entire committee.
Yeah,
So
they're
although they may have some specialty and we may have some division of labor, you'll be voting on things for your previous committee as well as the overall committee. So your role will be expanded, this basically.
which is a good thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see it as anything negative.
Right.
Yeah.
look at parks. Say for instance, parks and environmental should all they should be under the same category. To me, if you put things together, apples and apples, pears and pears, that's what we need to do.
John, in reference to that, I have take exception. You know why? Because sometimes environmental is not just having to mix in with parks, but it's also the general area of the district. In other words, it has to do with sanitation, it has to do with things like that. So it's not just necessarily relating to the environment of the community as far as parks and things like that. So we need to be careful about it. It's a kind of fine line
Yeah.
on that subject. So sometimes when you say parks, they're saying, okay, parks. But then you say environment. So what are we doing? Keeping the air clean, which is the environment, or are we keeping the streets clean? That's environment.
And then
Right.
the streets clean could also be public safety or health. You
Right.
know?
See, it can branch out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is Carla again, just supporting Judy's comments. So right now, environmental concerns is all about unglamorous stuff like trash and rats. So yeah, if it makes sense to meet with parks where we overlap, that's fine with me. But we have our own issues as well. So, I guess if we combine committees and have co-chairs, we just need to work out the agendas and say, well, this week is about rats and trash. Next week is about capital projects. We just need to have some dialogue about that.
Right. And the goal, hopefully, that is it will garner you more members as well, because like Carla, you and I have had spoken about that you barely have any members joining. This may help that problem.
Yes, yes. I'm looking forward to that solution, yes. Yes, and I'm, we met in the days before Denise Bond joined the community board. Environmental concerns and parks met. But, sometimes we would have to just take turns and say, this week it's about trash.
Mm-hmm.
Next month it's about capital projects.
Right.
So, it's just a negotiation between colleagues,
Right.
I guess, is my point. Yeah.
Hopefully it'll build more cohesiveness amongst us. But any other questions?
John I think made a good point, or someone made a good point in regards that one day the environmental committee could be talking about something that has to do with public safety and not necessarily the other committee that the other committee is going to be in conjunction with. Can it be, or it's probably asking too much? Like, let's just say Carla has a environmental committee meeting
Mm-hmm.
that is going to include public safety. Can we incorporate public safety to her meeting that day? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'll find out because I know that certain issues overlap. So I will ask how that would look.
Yeah. So I mean, I get Ms. Tarlene's concern regarding combining committees, and if one thing has to do with education, and then the other has to do with something that has nothing to do with education, it's like probably overlapping and stuff. But like I said, we're having a conversation, so
Yeah,
at least we're starting the conversation. We never had it.
right. Talene,
No,
did you want to share?
sorry.
Talene, did you want to share anything else? Any other
Uh,
thoughts, concerns?
say it again.
Any other concerns?
Mm, no.
No? Okay.
I'm just, no, just no.
Okay. Carla, you were going to say something?
No, just that I welcome any committee wanting to meet in conjunction with another meeting. I mean, environmental concerns, public safety. We overlap. I think there's nothing in the bylaws that prevent any two committees from voluntarily reaching out to each other and saying, let's have a joint meeting because,
Right.
rats and public safety, well, that's an issue. Or, rats and public safety and trash, that's an issue. We should always be comfortable reaching out to each other and saying, can we meet together? That's all.
Okay. Thank you. We have a hand up.
Yes, it's Joan. I have my hand up.
Hi, Joan.
So if we combine education and youth services, libraries and cultural affairs committee, health and human services, I'm trying to figure out what our agenda would be for a meeting. Would we, for instance, have maybe, it also depends, I can imagine, on the issues that we have with each of these committees that we have now, which will be combined. So would the agenda be where we have maybe 2 issues or 2 items from each committee?
Right, but you're combining them. So it's one committee, but you're adding on your issues to the agenda, whether it's education, youth, cultural affairs.
And human services.
If we combine those 3 together, that may be too much, right? We may just decide to do libraries and cultural affairs with education and youth.
So we'll be cutting down on meetings, but obviously the meetings will be longer because now we'll have more issues that we'll have to address.
Correct.
That's a possibility, not necessarily.
Not necessarily, because some committees don't like. Not every month the transportation has something to put on the agenda. I usually have to call Ursula. I was like, "Is there anything going on?" and stuff like that. And if there's really nothing going on, then sometimes we really don't, unless someone have something to bring before the committee.
And
No.
also, if we know that it's like 2 committees, we're not going to, cram the agenda with too many things.
Well, on the Library and Cultural Affairs Committee, we have something every month. Every month we do something that's of importance to the community.
So then if that's the
we
case, then we
always-
could have that separate still. We could, certain committees, we could keep it separate.
Right. The other thing you do have to also keep in mind, Joan, is that when we do go back to in person, which may be January, somebody from your, whether it's the chair or the co-chair, will have to be at the carriage house to also manage. And I don't know if George will be there and Ursula, they probably will be one of them, but to also manage the tech, the meetings, the hybrid, right? Because for the hybrid, it means that the majority of you are supposed to be in person. Hybrid is really only for those that will be excused, right? For the various reasons that we wrote in the resolution, right? So also keep that in mind. So condensing can also help with that hopefully we get more people there in person. When we had our general board meeting, and that was a general board meeting, we had more people virtually than in person. And so we almost didn't even meet our quorum that day. And that was for general board meeting. Committee meetings, unfortunately, what we're seeing is less and less participation. One of the remedies would be to combine. Hopefully we get more.
And as many board members have mentioned here tonight, we need members. These committees don't have enough members.
So we are in talks with the Bronx Borough's office to get more. We have a few new ones that I've been in communication with, and we're trying to see their interest to see where I assign them. So that is the hope, to get you more. But again, the idea of condensing committees can also be beneficial in that it will garner more members per committee.
I hope so.
I hope so too. It's worth a try.
Thank you.
Beatrice, are we gonna get a new list with the new members?
Yes, you will. Any other questions? I don't want to keep you much longer, but I'll write all this up, and then we will take it to our full board meeting. If you have any questions, please reach out, and I'll be reaching out to you as well if anything comes up. John,
No, I'm fine.
Carla, Alfredo, Benga, thank you for joining us.
Beatrice,
Appreciate-
Yeah, thank you. Yes, thanks.
we
I'm
could
gonna need
also,
your number.
Yeah,
could
I'll
al-
put it in the chat. I'll put it in the
Okay.
chat.
All right.
Go ahead, John.
I'll say now we could also look to see what the other boards are doing too, because
I have some call. Yeah, I have a call with the she's community board 8.
while I'm sitting down with you guys, what I was doing was Googling, and their committees are merged, like library, youth services, and something else is together as one. You know,
Right. So there are some already existing kind of like structures that we can look to see how it works for them. Definitely, John.
yeah, I noticed that housing and land use is still separate in a lot of them, probably because the meetings take with those approvals take long.
Yeah, they're like full board meetings.
Yeah, so that we might want to consider keeping those separate too.
Separate. Okay. Sounds good to me. Anyone else?
John, question. The metal barricades was taken today to 64.
Oh, 68, you mean?
68. So they there in the corner.
Okay.
I was there earlier this afternoon. It's a real mess. Like, no, it's beyond a mess.
I was looking at it, Alfredo, this weekend. They have they're doing construction at the school, so they got
it's almost done. They took out the scaffold today. So it's
how about
almost
those
done.
big
Even
big
besides that,
so there.
even besides that, the people driving in that area, John, is
No, it's
I don't. I mean, if we're done, I don't want to bore you guys. But being that John is here, I just want to speak to him about it. The people driving in that area is really bad. So I just wanted to let you know that they did bring the barricades. They provided 6 metal barricades. That should be good enough. 3 in the front of Strang and 3 on the property line in the back. That should be good enough. But I don't see how it's gonna work. I was there and I had my car parked there while I was talking to one of the officers, and some dude just bypassed me and almost took the lady that was standing there. So this is just really bad. It's really bad. So hopefully when we have our meeting next month, DOT will be there. We'll ask the NYPD to be there. And if community members that live on that block could come also, because based on what I saw today, they're really not too much of a help. The people that live on that block.
Hey, Fredo, you know who else you need? You need the soup. You need the superintendent. You need Christine Vaughn.
All right. Well, hopefully when Ursula schedules a new meeting, she could reach out to her too. The more people, the better.
Yeah.
Because it's really bad, and I mean,
like I was trying to explain the same situation that I had with Souza.
Yeah.
I had to get school safety, police department, crossing guard, and then we had families, volunteers who came as well. That particular school has 3 APs, right? Mr. Avail, yeah, there's 3. And then there's deans. I mean, people had to come out, we had to be out there on the street.
Yeah.
So,
It's bad. The reason why it's bad because there's a lot of family 1-2 family homes on that block, and it stretches like 1,000 feet. So it's a lot of properties there. So it's really, I mean, it's a really bad situation. You know. But hopefully the next meeting, John, we could get more people there, and like Colleen said, maybe somebody from the district could come. And again, we can only do so much. I mean, the NYPD, they provided the barricades, but they need somebody to man them. I mean, that the people they have to man them, they cannot be there. I mean, they're gonna get hurt.
Right.
Anyway, that's enough for today.
Well, thank you for sharing. Well, I don't want to keep anyone any longer. Thank you so much for joining.
Okay.
And this closes our meeting, 7:45 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
Guys.
Thanksgiving.
Happy
thank you.
holiday. Happy Thanksgiving. All right.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.